Hello everyone, I'm Dave Robbins with Politics and Religion. I want to welcome you today. Irvin Baxter, I'm sitting in for Irvin Baxter actually. He is attending a funeral today and tomorrow in Indiana, where we're originally from, and so I'm filling some rather large shoes today, to say the least. But he'll be back in here on Wednesday, so I'm just want to welcome you to the program today. I want to announce real quick, every Thursday evening, we do a Bible study here at Endtime Ministries headquarters. For those of you that live in the Dallas, Garland, Plano area here in Texas, I want to invite you to that Bible study. It starts at 7 p.m. every Thursday night. And if you want to register for that, we've had hundreds and hundreds of people go through it over the years. If you want to register for that Bible study, email me, drobbins, DROBBINS, at endtime.com, and to register for the Bible study. And we go through the 14 major prophecies of the Bible, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how much you'll get out of that, how much information that you wouldn't get on the radio and the television, in our magazine. We go in depth in them Bible studies, and I think you'd be pleasantly surprised at the amount of information that comes forth over that. So if you want to register for the Bible study, email me, drobbins at endtime.com. That's every Thursday night, 7 p.m., here at our Endtime headquarters, and I'll email you back the information about it. So on today's program, I'm actually going to do a 2-day segment here, today and tomorrow, showing us where we're located on God's prophetic timeline. I'm always getting questions concerning where we're at. Are we in the tribulation already because of all the persecution of Christians going on? Where are we located? I mean, have all the prophecies already occurred in 70 AD and we're living somewhere in the 1,000-year millennial reign? Believe it or not, I get those questions all the time. So I thought what I'd do is do a 2-day segment and show you where we're at on God's prophetic timeline. There is a prophetic timeline taught in the Bible from Daniel chapter 2 all the way through Revelation 22. And we're somewhere on that prophecy timeline. So I want to go over the next couple days. Today, in today's segment, I'm going to take you from where they began in Daniel chapter 2 all the way to today. Where are we at right now on that prophecy timeline? And then tomorrow, I'll show you what's the next prophecy that that's expected to occur on that timeline all the way through until the great white throne of judgment and eternity. So, the prophecy timeline, where are we located? That's the question that we'll answer in today's program and tomorrow's. So we'll jump right off into it. It starts in Daniel chapter 2, the first major prophetic fulfillment, and it's Nebuchadnezzar's statue. It's the Holy Roman Empire. It's found in Daniel 2, and it starts off, Nebuchadnezzar saw a vision with a head of gold, chest and arms of silver, belly and thighs of brass, legs of iron, and then feet of iron mingled with clay. You say, well, what do these 5 represent? Well, the head of gold was the Babylonian Empire. The arms and breast of silver was Media Persia. The belly and thighs of brass was the Grecian Empire. And the legs of iron were the Roman Empire. And these were all depicted as empires that would rule the world from the time of Nebuchadnezzar to the second coming of Jesus Christ. Where a lot of prophecy ministries kind of get off a little bit is they don't understand the last empire, which is the feet of iron mingled with clay. This is the Roman Empire in Bible prophecy. So the feet consisted of iron, the iron element, and it was found, and that represented the Roman Empire, but it was mixed with a clay element, which symbolized the religious aspect that was added in to form the Holy Roman Empire. So the Holy Roman Empire was always ruled by a political figure, which was the iron element, and a religious figure, which was the clay element. So they were mingled together, and the religious figure was always the current pope at that time. So the Holy Roman Empire, where's that found in Bible prophecy? Well, the Bible prophesies that the Holy Roman Empire would be the central governing force. This last element in Nebuchadnezzar's vision would be the central governing force. It would be the last world governing empire just before the second coming of Jesus Christ. And it would actually be in power at that time. So The original Holy Roman Empire began in 800 AD when Pope Leo III crowned Charlemagne the first emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. So the Holy Roman Empire went from 800 AD to about 1806 AD when the Holy Roman Empire was defeated by Napoleon and pretty much pronounced dead at that time. Then after about 1,000 years from its founding, it was pronounced dead. Then this meant that in order for this prophecy to be fulfilled, since there was an original Roman Empire, then we went to the Holy Roman Empire, which was a completely separate entity from the Roman Empire. If that's got to be on power at the second coming of Jesus Christ, then that has to be revived. It has to be reborn somehow, because remember in 1806 it was pronounced dead. But the dream of a unified Europe never died. So somehow or another it's got to be reborn at the time or just before the second coming of Jesus Christ. So, and also, we know from the prophecies of the Bible that the Antichrist, which is the political leader at that time, just before the second coming of Jesus Christ, and the false prophet, which is the religious leader, will be the central influencers of the one world government of the end time. And the Holy Roman Empire has always had a political leader and a religious leader. So you can see the tie-in here, how it started back in 800 AD, but yet it's going to be ran the same exact way just before the second coming of Jesus Christ. So this supports the prophesied rebirth of the Holy Roman Empire. So the rebirth has recently actually occurred, but I'll actually cover that later in the lesson. I'll get into much more detail concerning that. So that's the first prophecy that was it was fulfilled about 800 AD when the Holy Roman Empire, remember it was prophesied all the way back in Daniel chapter 2, but it was fulfilled in 800 AD when it began, and it's actually going to still be in power at the second coming of Jesus Christ. You say, well, so what are you teaching on, Dave? I'm showing you how the prophecies which started in Daniel chapter 2 start on a timeline. And the first one came to pass in 800 AD, and it's actually going to be totally fulfilled at the second coming of Jesus Christ. We've already watched that come to pass. It's in your history books. Go research it. There's a difference between the Roman Empire and the Holy Roman Empire. So we're walking down this prophecy timeline, and I'm showing you where are we at. Because God gave it over the course of the last 2,600 years. We're somewhere on that. Hopefully by the end of today, you'll understand where we're at. So the second major fulfillment was the birth of the United States of America. You say, well, where's that in the Bible? Well, the prophecy is found in Daniel chapter 7. So in this chapter, Daniel sees a vision of 4 beasts: a lion with eagle's wings, a bear with ribs in its mouth, a 4-headed leopard with the wings of a fowl, and then a 10-horned beast, which he couldn't describe. He just said it's a beast with 10 horns. Well, these beasts symbolized nations. And all of this is depicted in Daniel 7. You can read it for yourself. These beasts symbolized nations, and he said that the nations would be on the earth in the end times. They would be on earth at the second coming of Jesus Christ. It's very clearly depicted in Daniel chapter 7. So you say, well, what are these beasts? If we can tell what these beasts symbolize, then maybe we'll know what the nations are. So if the first beast was a lion, it's given in Daniel 7, verse 4, and it says, "The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon as a man, and a man's heart was given to it." Well, so you say, well, what's the lion? Well, if you go to Webster's Third New International Dictionary of the English language, it states that the lion is the national emblem of Great Britain. So the lion in Daniel chapter 7 is Great Britain. And of course, that's a fully functional nation here on the earth at the present time, just before the second coming of Jesus Christ. The second beast was a bear, Daniel 7:5. And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and thus they said unto it, Arise and devour much flesh. Well, of course, you probably have already guessed this one. There's a major nation with the bear as their symbol on the earth today. Russia. Now, let me interject something right here. You understand that this prophecy was given about a little over 2,500 years ago. And he said there's going to be nations on the earth just before the second coming of Jesus Christ that are symbolized by these animals. You say, well, how in the world was that possible? God was actually the writer of the Bible. He just had different penmen. Daniel was one of the prophets in the Old Testament. He foretold this before any of these nations were ever developed. And so if you wonder about the majesty of God and the awesomeness of His Word, think about these prophecies and how accurate they are coming to pass. So as we go on, the wings of an eagle. Of course, in Daniel 7:4, the lion and the lion had eagle's wings. Well, of course, you and I, if you're in the United States, you're standing on the soil that is this nation. The major nation with the eagle as their symbol, of course, is the United States of America. The Scripture depicts the wings coming out of the lion. So the United States, where did we come from? Of course, we came out of England. So the book of Daniel was estimated to be written around 550 BC. And the wings, he in his vision, he saw the wings were plucked off, which is believed to be a prophecy of the Declaration of Independence in 1776. So I'll interject something else right here. Look at the majesty. Like I said, the majesty of God Himself. He's already seen these prophecies come to pass, and He's given them to the writers of the Bible for you and I. The third major prophecy that now that was 1776. The third major prophecy is World War I, the first trumpet. It's Revelation 8:7. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees were burned up, and all green grass was burned up. There's never been a globally recognized war in the history of mankind that claimed over 1 million fatalities until the 20th century. But yet there were 8.2 million fatalities in 1914 in World War I. Now these prophecies, remember, written way back 2,000 years ago, but I've brought you all the way up to 1914, World War I. Of course, this was commonly referred to as the Great War. U.S. President Woodrow Wilson in 1919 attempted to establish the League of Nations on the heels of the war. It was the first attempt at a global government in 1919. Now you can see how far we've come in just the first segment. I'm already up to 1919, and we'll continue on this prophecy timeline in the next segment.